For today's video, we have Send Me Your Team. So I did this series a few years ago, and it's back for this year. And basically all it is I asked people to send me their team via our Facebook page, the George Supercoach Facebook page. And if you give me a full screenshot with the snipping tool on a web page, no phone screenshots please, I might include it in a video. So it should be good. A few interesting teams here that we'll go over today. I'm not going to focus too much on structure because we're still figuring out the rookies. There might be injuries that happen that open up spots for rookies. And yeah, there might be a few bolters over the preseason, just like in the draft. There's bolters late in the season, so I won't focus on that too much. But the first team we have here is Ariel's team. And I'm not going to say their last name, just probably better not to. But yeah, we'll get straight into the team. And as you can see, a fair bit of money in the bank, which is fine, 61k. Lloyd and Laird, pretty solid D1 and D2, probably going to be the top two. And Luke McDonald, I like the Luke McDonald pick. The only thing with McDonald is he's a slight risk. I do have McDonald, but I wouldn't be going risk elsewhere if you have Luke McDonald with your premium. So, because you don't want too much collective risk, so that's fine. James Harms is an interesting one. I know he's training back in the midfield this year, but the issue is there's a lot of other Melbourne mids that might push him to half forward a little bit. I know in his intra-club game he played mostly mid and rested at half forward, but that was without Viney and Brayshaw weren't playing. So keep an eye on Harms. I'm not sure he gets to the heights of that 95 average just because there's a few more mids to compete with now, but it looks like you want to go back to halfback. So 350k, I don't mind it. Watch him in the preseason, but I think he would probably perform as well as he did a few years ago. It's just how many mid minutes does he get? It's probably going to be lowered. But I think he'd be a decent selection, so keep an eye on him. And then the rookies, Granger Browse, not a big fan of, seems to have really big endurance problems, but intercept marking seems to be pretty good. So yeah, rookies are pretty fine. Lockie Jones I don't think plays, but we'll see. And in the midfield, pretty standard midfield, pretty solid midfield rather. And Neil and Oliver, great, solid, getting the big dogs in early, which is great. Matt Crouch has had an interrupted pre-season, but I still think he's an okay pick. So no real problems with the Matt Crouch pick. The only thing is that he shares a bye with a lot of the big dogs. So I notice you don't have Steele or Petrarca. Most people don't, but if you're looking to get those two guys in, who I think have a really high ceiling, it'll probably have to be after the round 14 bye. So something to keep in mind. Sam Walsh is a fine pick, I think. I do wonder how much inside mid time he gets because there's a lot of guys at Carlton that can play inside mid. Cripps, Williams, and Setterfield probably the starting inside mids, and then they have a few young guys that can go through there. So I think the quality of mids they have that can play on a wing, and none of them are anywhere near Walsh. So I fully expect Walsh to play a combination of wing and inside mid, but maybe just 5 or 6 CBAs a game. I think Rao is fine, but keep an eye on Rao. I'm still not certain on him just yet, but most people seem to be picking him. Rookies look fine, so yeah, no worries with that. Gordon Grundy, that's fine. And yeah, this is a really good, really standard forward setup. Might need to bolster a rookie to a Danaher or a Zeeble type. Zeeble's I know you don't have Zeeble, but I was going to speak about him anyway. Apparently he's playing pretty well at halfback, so want to keep an eye on if you want to bolster that forward lineup. But I think it's fine. I think Cahill might play, but a bit dodgy JS. Have a few people they're playing at halfback. They're trialling at halfback, I think at Essendon, so keep an eye on that. So yeah, I'm not sure Worrell plays, but I think the Crows, I think Duday's injured, so that might help Worrell if Duday can't play round 1. So yeah, I think it's fine. You have 61k to play with. Yeah, I'm not sure what you do with it. Maybe just keep it, but I think the team's fine. I wouldn't take anyone out at this stage. So thanks for your team, Ariel. The next team we have is Cow's team. So interesting team, 33k in the bank. It's a really healthy amount to have in the bank. But yeah, defense pretty standard. Lloyd and Laird, fantastic. Not the biggest fan of Zach Williams, and I know he can play. I just worry about his injuries. Already copped a head knock at training. Seems to be a magnet for those knocks. So I'm definitely going to outperform his price and impressing at training, it seems. So it's a risk-reward pick. I don't like him at all, but I think a lot of people really like him, and yeah, I think it's fine. I just wouldn't go too much risk elsewhere. Wayne Miller is not too sure on Miller. I think he plays halfback with stints in the midfield. He can score there, but he's inconsistent and he's very injury prone. So for 300k, it's not too bad. I don't mind it. But yeah, Williams and Miller, that's already kind of injury prone defence. So I'd only start one of them, to be honest, but that's just me personally. If Williams stays fit, you're laughing, but I don't think he will. And yeah, the defenders are fine. Defender rookies seem pretty fine. Spoke about Granger Brass before. Neil Oliver, standard M1 and M2, fantastic. Zach Merritt I like. There's a lot of Essendon mids that will want inside mid minutes, so Zach Merritt might be forced to play more outside than inside. Which you can still score there okay, but it's harder to score there. So I don't mind Merritt. I see Merritt as more of an upgrade target. It seems to dip at some point every year, but no problem with starting him. Cripps is a fine pick. My opinion on Cripps is even if he goes 105, which he can do way better clearly if he's not injured the whole year like last year, he'll be a fine pick, even for that, and he has a higher ceiling, so I like the Cripps pick. Matthew Rao, lots of people have him, but still a watch, but yeah. Rookies look fine, don't think we'll need power. Gordon Grundy is fine, Dunkley Marshall great, Danaher Impey, so that's a reasonable depth in the forward line, so I like that. And yeah, McRae, Cockatoo, Rowe, Laurie. I think probably three of those play, maybe Laurie plays. Apparently he's been impressing at training. So probably need him in defence if he does play. But yeah, I think it's a fine team, pretty standard. Yeah, I don't mind this team here. So I think you can afford to take Williams and Miller up because I think the rest of your team is pretty durable outside of Danaher, but for a rookie you don't really worry about durability as much. So yeah, I think the team's fine and yeah, good team, Cal. The next team we have is Relton's team. So I don't think his name's actually Relton. Might be a tribute to Relton Roberts, but we'll call him Big Relton anyway. So we have an interesting team here. So looks pretty different to the other teams that we've had so far. The defense has no Lloyd, but has Laird in the midfield. So you definitely want Laird. Lloyd I get. He might lose some kickouts, as I've discussed in previous videos, and I think it's okay. He's priced at his max, Lloyd, so I think that's fine. This is going to be difficult trading him in, but I like the Stewart pick. He seems pretty safe. Apparently Blitzarves is going to go back to defence to take Taylor's role, so Stewart should play the same role as last year. Jaden Shaw I quite like. Just plays that free-flowing defender. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Zach Williams with how attacking he is down back. So I quite like the short pick. I think he will be probably in the 6th to 12th range of the top defenders. But still for his price, I think he'll be an acceptable scorer. And he's always scored slightly better without Basher Hooley. And Hooley's currently been injured for a long time and expect him to miss lots of games. So in theory, Short should improve this year. But he only has the one season of proven scoring. But I think the short pick will work, so that's fine. McDonald is good. Again, with risks like McDonald, you don't want to take too many risks elsewhere. So defender rookies probably a little bit light. I don't think we'll get Chapman or Jones. So maybe you need I can see a bit heavy in the mids here. So maybe throw Laird into defence, and then that's sorted really. Now the midfield. Okay, Josh Kelly is a very high risk, high reward player, and I'm not sure he's worth the risk because we saw him rested from soreness last year after having a full preseason, but seems to be having another full preseason and blitzed the time trial. So I think Kelly is an okay pick. It's just if he gets injured again, it's going to be a nightmare. You don't want to pay up big time for players that are injury prone, in my opinion. So for that reason, I think Kelly's too high risk, and if it does work, awesome. I'd rather go Petrarca at his price. Petrarca's Iron Man, he's durable. Kelly might outscore him, but yeah, in that price range, I probably like Petrarca. That's just me personally, but yeah, Kelly can work. Will it work? It's unlikely he stays fit for the whole year. Tom Mitchell is a big no for a starting pick, so you want to get rid of him and maybe try and get up to Oliver somehow. But yeah, with Tom Mitchell, interrupted pre-season, still kind of recovering from the broken leg. Should be almost good now, but also the shoulder, might not play round 1. don't pick Tom Mitchell for round 1. And yeah, Matt Crouch I spoke about before, he's fine. Laird, throw him in defence, and Cripps is a fine pick. Heppel I actually like. So Heppel's a polarising pick, but looks to play half-back. Heppel works super hard and really good character around the club. So I expect him to be fit for round 1, but so far his pre-season is going pretty well. On a modified to almost full program I think, but still got to be precautionary with that foot. But he's had a long time to heal and seemed to be, I think in match sim he was playing okay, so, or at training anyway. So I don't mind the Heppel pick, but definitely one to watch in the pre-season. Gordon Grundy's fine. Dunkley Marshall, fantastic. Connor Rosie's an interesting one, and he kicked 6 goals in an intra-club, today anyway, or yesterday rather. And with Rosie, played a fair bit forward in the second half, and it's hard to take a lot out of intra-clubs when they're playing Port's AFL team versus the SNFL team, basically. So I don't like the Rosie pick. I know he can play, but we haven't actually seen the improvement from him in the midfield. There's not a whole lot of evidence of him playing and scoring really well consistently in the midfield. And for that reason, he is a hard no for me. I'm not interested in Rosie at all. Could he work? Maybe, but not for me. Danaher I think is fine, MP's fine. Yeah, I think this team's fine. So yeah, it looks good so far. I'd patch up the midfield. I'd probably pick 2 more durable types, not Mitchell, and then if you want to pick Kelly, that's fine, but I'd trade Mitchell, try to get Mitchell to Oliver or something. So thanks to your team, Relton. Next we have Paul's team. So Paul, I speak to a little bit via DM and on Twitter and stuff. Always very respectful, so all the best for this year, Paul. Hope you do really well. But yeah, his team we'll have a look at. 14k in the bank, that's fine. I always say you want at least, obviously if you have a little bit, like 20-30k it's nice, but have enough for 1 or 2 rookie corrections. So I wouldn't go, I'd try go at least 8k in your bank, but ideally a tiny bit more. So so defence, Lloyd and Laird, fantastic. Tom Stewart's solid, and Luke McDonald. So this is what I have in the defence, and I think it's fantastic. I really like the McDonald pick. Again, we have to watch him and not have too much collective risk across the team. So I do like the McDonald pick. And yeah, rookies seem fine. So the midfield, so Neil and Steele. I love the Jack Steele pick. I think he's in for a big year. Been setting the standards at the Saints for a few years now, and he's the guy. He's the superstar now. I believe he's a superstar of the competition. Started to kick goals going forward, and just destroys anyone he plays on a weekly basis. Tackles heaps. I love the Jack Steele pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the Brownlow this year. Big fan of Jack Steele. So I love the Jack Steele pick, and a few people are sleeping on him, I think. Sam Walsh I think is fine. Again, be wary of how much inside mid-time he gets. I know he played a fair bit inside at his intra-club, but with 2 split teams, it's there's more midfield minutes to go around, so not sure on Walsh fully, but I think it's fine. He's had a really strong finish last year, and yeah, has huge endurance. I think the rules will benefit him because you have to be on the ground longer, probably. Patrick Cripps is fine. Probably not sure he reaches the 120 average, but all things we're hearing from Cripps are really positive in this preseason. Did have the interrupted preseason, so I do wonder if that affects him, but we'll see. He's had a long time to heal for that shoulder. Haitley's an interesting one. So I was pretty hot on Haitley, but I've cooled on him a little bit. Just not hearing enough good things. But I've always said with Haitley, the Crows have no big body mids, like big body tall mids. They're all 180, low 180s in height. So that's why Bontempelli and Oliver, who are tall mids, whenever we play them, we have no matchup for them and they destroy us. So my view is Haitley needs to be inside because he's shown he can play well inside at SNFL level, at AFL level in the preseason, and at NEFL level. So yeah, always put good numbers there. He didn't play well last year, but he was out of position. So keep an eye on him. I really want to see him get a lot of mid minutes and score well in the preseason. So he's still a watch for me at this stage. I can always flip to Heppel, depending on how Heppel goes. Rookies are fine. I don't think Power plays. Looks a bit too skinny from the tapes that I saw when he was playing in the North Intra-Club. Gordon Grundy's fantastic. And then the forward line, solid. Dunkley, Marshall, Danaher, Impey. Pretty standard line. I'm starting to think with Zeeble coming good at half-back, which is unexpected for me, but we'll still wait and see, probably makes him a better option than Danaher. Cahill probably plays, maybe plays, not sure. One to watch in the pre-season, but if he plays, he has a good role. And McRae, fantastic. McRae's doing really good things. He's an on-field option, it seems. Love the team poll. I like it a lot, and I wouldn't really change much at all. Maybe get a bit more money from downgrading Powell, and I'll maybe Zeeble over Danaher, I think. Other than this fantastic team, just go keep an eye on Jackson Haley. The final team for today we have is Ryan's team. So thanks for sending me your team, Ryan. And some interesting picks here. Some good things that we can talk about, which is great. So defense pretty standard. Lloyd led. We've all got Lloyd and led, I think. I get it if you don't want to start Lloyd, but you just have to start led. Luke McDonald, I like the Luke McDonald pick. High upside pick. So McDonald and Williams, I think that's two picks with bust potential. Although probably the bust potential is low. They both have their separate issues, but I would only go one of them personally. But that's just me. You don't have to do that. I just like to have less risk. So Williams, I've spoken about a few times. Going to score well, playing really well. It's just the amount of soft tissue injuries and knocks he gets makes it very hard to justify picking him. But he's discounted, so he will help. That extra money will help buffer other lines. So I get it if you want to pick him, but not for me. Rookies look fine. I might have to be prepared to, depending on the rookies that come through, might have to get a decent D5, but we'll see. Neil Oliver, really solid. M1 and M2. Cripps is fine. And Jai Simpkins an interesting one. So it looks like he's set for a breakout year, just because he's going to get more CBAs than last year. Showed great signs before he did the ankle injury. I'm a fan of the Simpkin pick. I'm all for it. I think he'll be at least an M8 option. And for 500k, even if he goes 95, that's obviously not good, but it's not a disaster. I think in previous years, I've held Sloan and Matt Crouch, who each averaged 100, who I paid more for, and I still finished around 300th, or around 350th. So I think that's fine. I like the Simpkin pick. He has the early buy, which is quite good in my opinion, because not a lot of other players have that buy, and that buy will be easy for everyone. So it's okay to have him on the bench and then hop in the other 2 rounds. So I think the Simpkin pick is fine. Matt Rao, interesting Matt Rao. I think he's still a watch, but with Simpkin and Rao, you could be looking at 2 M8 types, possibly. I'm not exactly sure. Just because they've never been top 8 before. So usually the top 8, it's not a whole lot of change happens from year to year with the top 8 midfielders. But they both could be acceptable picks. But Rao's still a bit unknown, but should be fine. Spoke about Jackson Haley before. I want to see him really take a hold of a pre-season game, because I'm not quite sure where he is in the pecking order at the Crows. But some good depth in the midfield. And might need to turn a mid into a defender, or even Haley into a defender, but we'll see how we go. Maybe be prepared to be flexible there. And the rucks are fine. Grundy and Gawn. No Dunkley. I don't like that. I think Dunkley's upside is too good to pass up. Even though he'll play mid and forward, the upside of Dunkley is crazy. So, anyway, Kyle Langford here. So I want to speak about Langford. So I was reading about Langford the other day, and apparently the comment was Langford had the ball on a string, playing inside midfield for Essendon. But then I think there's so many players that want to play inside in Essendon. There's Dylan Shill will be there. Cardwell maybe get some time there. Parrish has got to play there, really. They can't shaft Parrish forward again, surely not. I can't think of anyone else at the top of my head. Maybe Devon gets rotated through there, but I know there's a few more. Merritt's still got to go through there. So, but hearing, Langford is looking really, really fit, and I think he had a really good time trial finish and impressing a lot over the pre-season. Seems to be the one that's highlighted the most out of Essendon this preseason. Keep an eye on him, but I'm not sure on his inside mid-time and whether it's going to be split. So I'll keep an eye on Langford. I think he's never played 22 games, so that's another issue. For 430k, it's not too bad, but it seems a little bit risky just because of the bust potential with the injury issues and the question over how much inside mid-time he gets. So yeah, see what he does in the pre-season game where he plays. That might be a better indicator. And then yeah, Danaher MP should be fine, and Jones maybe plays, not sure. Rowe, Cockatoo, I'm not sure who this guy is. But yeah, I think it's a solid team. I really wouldn't change much. I think I'd get Dunkley in somehow, to be honest. But that's my opinion. Some people don't want to pick Dunkley. I think that's mad, but I get it. Actually, I don't get it. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. So yeah, if you want to send me a team at George Supercoach on Facebook, send me a proper screenshot, and if it's a good team, if you get in early, I'll probably do a video on it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.